That's what this text is called, actually, 7-point mind training. Based on teachings of the great Indian Mahayana teacher Atisha Dipamkara, who brought these teachings up to Tibet in the 11th century. He's a very, very important figure in the revival of Tibetan Buddhism after it had gone through a couple centuries of decline. So we'll move forward with our slogans and do some chanting as well and practice. The slogans are 59 one-liners that help us understand the nature of our mind, the nature of reality, the nature of the path, and how to become a kinder, gentler person. So, So next Tuesday is my last class for about 5 weeks. So I will be in India and doing a Panchakarma healing retreat and program. I've had some physical issues. You may notice I lie down a lot for the meditation, and it's because of some back stuff. But I'm getting better, but I'm going to India for even more help. And so we are so lucky to have a wonderful teacher who teaches yantra yoga, which is a form of Tibetan yoga. And I'd like to invite him to come up here. He's here tonight. Luke, would you come up and tell people about it? Because this is important, because he will be here for 5 weeks teaching this series. Thank you for coming up. Yeah, come and sit here, because you might not be aware, but you are on video. People can see you.
Right.
Yeah, so this is Luke, and he'll be starting not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, February 27th. Take it away.
Okay. Hello, everyone. As has been said, I will be starting a 5-week series, February 27th, and I didn't know that you were going to India.
Yeah.
But when I was in India in December and January, I saw your book in Varanasi.
Yes,
and I almost messaged you to let you know that I found your book in Varanasi. And I thought when I came back and this opportunity arose, that it was really auspicious.
Fun. Oh,
yeah.
That's fun.
So in any case, as has been mentioned, I am a Yantra yoga instructor. My teacher, Chogyam Namkhai Norbu, brought this system of yoga to the West. He was in Italy for about 35 years. He was well regarded and known as a Dzogchen master. And this was essentially one of the first systems of movement that, I'd say, that was Tibetan or had come from India into Tibet approximately the 8th century with Vairocana, the translator. Mm-hmm. And so this has been something that he authorized instructors over a period of what was probably 35 years. He passed away in 2018. And I'm one of, I guess, I don't know how many in the United States. There's a lot in Europe, a lot in South America, a lot in Russia, but not as many of us here in North America. And so I will be offering, actually, essentially what I thought I will be offering, especially for this Tuesday, because what I understand is it's a combination of movement, mantra, and meditation.
Yes.
So really the idea, what I hope to do and to work with is a distillation of Yantra Yoga, something that's what actually is called Respira method. It's something that my teacher, Fabio Andrico, is one of the 2 senior instructors who have been authorized to facilitate and create, if you will, guide instructors to become on the path of Yantra. So he developed this system called Respira. And it's a really fantastic system of really experiencing from the inside breath work. And as we know, there are 3 gates. We call them the 3 gates. There's the body, there's the gate of speech, and there's the gate of mind. And breath is a very powerful way of accessing the mind and coming to understand it better. Respira is fantastic in my experience, even after having taught for many, many years, as a way to develop and understand it even more. So the intent with the 5 weeks is really to explore the breath through movement, albeit gentle movement. I'll also be integrating joint mobilization, which is what I heard you're doing as well. So like from the Pavamuktasana series. We'll be doing some joint work and then also integrating meditation as well. So I hope to see you there. And again,
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
Yes, yes. So should people wear kind of more looser fitting clothing? What do you like to tell people to wear?
I wasn't sure. I brought a yoga mat today because I wasn't sure.
Mm.
So I think that having a yoga mat, we will be lying down at various points. Some of the movements, for instance, would be like kind of what we call a resting dove. So it'll be like entering into a pigeon pose, not in the same way, but really exploring how does this position facilitate a change in the breath. We all know that our body is a habit. We're sitting.
Mhm.
How does our position change? How do we affect our breath through positions? And it's a really different way of looking at posture, especially postural yoga. For folks who have come from postural yoga, this might be an inside-out way of looking at the breath. Yantra yoga is a fantastic architecture for understanding breath work. To me, it's still, I'm like always amazed. I'm like, people are like, was this channeled? Why? How did this happen? But it's pretty cool.
Thank you.
There's a question.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna ask, would you say each of these 5 classes are like standalone classes, or are they gonna be building off of each other in a series?
I would like to say that they're standalones, but that we will be developing more of a kind of a rhythm through it. The original intention was to work with Yantra, but I think Yantra wouldn't really allow for that standalone. So yes, you can do it as a drop-in.
That's good.
So
Yeah.
thank you.
Then maybe we can have you come back for a series where you can build the Yantra yoga too.
I would love that.
Okay, cool. Well, good. Thank you, Luke. Thank you. It's just worked out so well. I'm really happy. And also, Luke has studied shadow yoga as well, which is the form of yoga that I taught for 15 years. And we do the warm-ups in here. So the yoga we do, Luke, is not like, postural yoga. We do the warm-ups and then we sit. It's not that much.
So I'll do my best to really work with what I
Yeah.
see and experience.
Yeah.
Next week you'll be here.
Come
my
again.
intention will be again.
All righty.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. So Chogyal Namkhai Norbu Rinpoche, the founder or the creator of this Yantra yoga system, was my teacher, Lama Tsoltram's teacher, one of her main teachers. He taught her the chud, the Namkhai Norbu chud. Do you do that too, Luke?
I do.
Oh,
yes.
cool. Yeah, and so she taught that to me, and I can teach it as well. And Katie is very interested in us having a chud program here. Maybe someday I'll get to offer that here. It's a beautiful practice. You chant liturgies with a double-sided drum and a bell and beautiful visualization. It's a healing practice. So many good things to do. All right, so let's drop in, take some breaths as we arrive into our body. This doorway, gateway of the body can be entered through the breath. And then the mind follows. Let the mind drift down out of the head and into the body, into the belly as well. We begin session by arousing our heartfelt motivation to practice for the benefit of ourself and others. This is the aspirational prayer of bodhicitta, the awakened heart, the heart that blooms and opens towards liberation, not just for oneself, but also for others. And within this prayer of aspiration, we also give thanks to all the teachers, tracing back all the way in the Buddhist form, all the way back to Shakyamuni Buddha. the wisdom that has come forth from mouth to ear through these centuries, all the way to us now. How amazing. Giving thanks to our teachers' teachers, our lineages, whatever they may be, Buddhist, non-Buddhist, that have brought you here in this moment. Entering the space with gratitude, the greater attitude. So much joy and appreciation for encountering the Dharma in this life. And having a Sangha with whom to practice. And in this moment also situating ourselves in this space, time, on this earth, the land that is the land of Lisjanaloni, indigenous tribes who came before colonial settlers. So we give thanks and we acknowledge that. We situate ourselves here and commit not to forget that. We don't need to feel guilty or shame, but there's also a sense of grounded reverence and joy in knowing and recognizing the truth of what is. And then we'll open our hearts to the Divine Mother, Devi, and the Hindu tradition, the Great Mother Yum Chenmo, and the Vajrayana Tantric Buddhist tradition. But ultimately, she is beyond name and form. It is the womb of totality, the mother of all the Buddhas. And she lives within all of us as our primordial consciousness, our Rigpa. But we chant to her as a play of devotion. And we'll do that as this through the prayer of Narayani. If you need to, you can open your eyes and gaze upon your sheet there. At the very top of the chant sheet is the prayer we do at the beginning of every class. We'll do 11 repetitions, call and response the first time. If you're new and would like to read the English first and then join in after, you can do that as well, by all means. Sharanagata dinartha, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha Paritrana Parayane. Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha Paritrana Parayane. Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha Paritrana Parayane. Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha Paritrana Parayane. Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha Paritrana Parayane. Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute. Sharanagata Dinartha Paritrana Parayane. Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute. So now we're going to do some movement. Tonight we'll do standing. So I'd like everybody, inviting you to stand up and stand right in front of your cushion. So not on the cushion, standing on the wood. A little better for balance. And start in a standing meditation position. This is called stamba, which means the staff. And you have the heels are slightly together, kissing, and then the toes are turned out a little bit. Right hand on top of the navel, left hand on top of the right hand. And then let the eyes be open and gaze at a comfortable angle towards the floor. Bring the tip of your tongue against the upper palate. Gently touch that with the tongue. Relax the lower jaw away from the upper jaw. Relax the muscles of the face. Notice if the shoulders are up around the ears. Relax them down. Good. Feel the breath beneath the palms. Let the mind go there. Good. Feel the feet rooted into the floor. All four corners of the soles of the feet, nice and even, both feet. Notice if the buttocks is gripped, relax the buttocks. Tailbone draws down gently towards the heels. And then let the mind, let awareness flood the whole body. A global awareness of the body from the soles of the feet to the crown of the head. Good. Now exhale, bring the hands down, heels widen, feet are parallel. Step forward a little bit and then come on to the top of the toes of the right foot and start to rotate the ankle, like you're turning the ankle. Good. 1, 2, we'll do 10 reps. 3, 4, 5. Root into the standing leg. Keep that gaze. 8, 9, 10. And reverse. 1, 2. Good. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then come onto the right foot, left foot back behind you. It's easier if it's a little behind. Yeah, like that. And then turning. 1, 2. Let the navel draw back towards the spine. Lift up through the crown of the head. Bigger turns, you guys. Come on, don't be shy. It might hurt the toes a little bit. That's good. Toe torture. Keeps you young. And reverse. Iyengar said we die from the feet up, meaning circulation starts to diminish from the extremities. So we need to keep them alive. And then come. Weight even between the feet. Now we come up to the upper body. Chin down. Rotate to the right, around, down the left. 1. Do 5 each direction. 3, 4. Make a circle with your nose on an imaginary mirror in front of you. So don't throw the head way back. Be safe. And then reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Come to center. Inhale. Face to neutral. Exhale. Shoulders forward, up, down, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reverse. 1, 2, 3. Arms are straightish, not bent. Good. Who's counting? La, 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 la. That feels like 10. Kevin, I need your help. You get to count. Okay, you should count while I talk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. To the right, your right. 1. Helicoptering the arms. 2, 3, 4, 5. Front hand taps the front shoulder area. Back hand taps the back kidneys. Good. Very nice. Let the head go. Good. The whole spinal column gets a nice twist. That's it. And let's say last round. Are you counting? 20. And then hips. So the legs are straight and you're making a circle with your tailbone on the floor, imaginary. Crayon tied to the tip of your tailbone. And 7, 8, 9, and 10. Reverse. 1, 2. Eric, let your arms down. Yeah. 3, 4. Hands are just drooping down by your hips. And instead of like looking around the room, like keep your drishti. This is preliminary to meditation. We're not just spacing out, right? This is your warm-up, your foreplay to the stillness of sitting meditation. So stay focused. Keep your drishti, your focal point, the eyes gazing down. And it's probably been longer than 10. Stay focused, people. Okay, bring your feet together and bend the back of the knees forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax the shoulders. And 9, 10. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Feel the heat. Bend the knees. We'll do the wave. Sarpa, bending. Wave up through the spine. 1, 2, 3. Good. Keep going. 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. Keep going. 8. This is important. Keeping the youth of your spine is very important. It makes you feel good. So don't just stand there. Do something. Do the wave. Last one. Inhale now. Raise the arms. Hold the breath in. Press the hands down. Exhale. Slowly press the energy down to the earth. Good. 2 more. Inhale. Hold the breath in. Bring the hands pressing down, then exhale as they pass in front of the face. Inhale. Good. Really feel that you're pressing the chi down. Exhaling. That's it. Very nice. Good. Inhale, hands together. Exhale, bowing. And then that concludes the warm-up. So now let's find a seat, comfortable seat on the chair or a cushion. And really take a moment to make sure you've got what you need to feel at ease and repose. Relaxation is the first ingredient to meditation, so make sure you got yourself dialed in.
Thanks.
And once you've found that sweet spot, then close your eyes and start to breathe. Deeply into the belly, releasing tension with the out-breath. Letting tension melt down. Maybe there's a little remaining tension in the face or the base of the neck, the shoulders. Like honey oozing down, like you're like one of those honey bears. And the honey of tension is just oozing down, down, down to the earth. With each exhalation, let tension melt down into the earth from the back, the belly, the hips. If the eyes want to be slightly open or closed, both are fine. Again, finding the tip of the tongue resting up at the root of the top two front teeth. And then soften the lower jaw away from the upper jaw, just like in standing meditation. The chin slightly draws in towards the center of the throat, lengthening the back of the neck, creating space at the base of the skull and the occiput, the top vertebrae. Feel that space open. And you may notice that the breath descends into the belly even more deeply. So entering meditation through this doorway of the body, feeling the full field of sensations as you breathe in and out in this body, on the cushion, the hands palms down on the thighs and really make contact with the thighs. Help that ground you, ground the mind. In rest and stillness, the body still like a mountain, stable, aligned with gravity. In the doorway of the breath, feel the breath natural, at ease. Like the gentle waves of the ocean rising and falling. Let go of any remnant of control, judgment, fixing. If the breath is shallow, let it be shallow. If it's deep, let it be deep. Soften the belly. The full belt line loosens And releasing distraction with the out-breath, letting the mind settle in its natural state. Entering the gateway, the doorway of the mind. Awareness, vast like space, and yet it pervades the body. The body is mostly space. Let your awareness pervade every cell of your body and beyond the boundary of the skin. Settle the mind in its natural state, which is limpid, luminous, like the sky. A common instruction is to release thoughts, fixation with the out breath. But I'd like to introduce a little step just before you do that. Inevitably, as we sit here in stillness, the mind will not be still. Sometimes it even revolts and gets even more active. Or perhaps we're just becoming more aware of its habitual way of being. In any case, when you notice a thought pulling you into a story, a memory, a fantasy, turn towards it with loving awareness. And then release with the out breath. So introducing this little step, turning towards whatever content you encounter in the mind, especially the stuff we normally push away that we don't like about ourselves. Or even a benign thought. That moment of wakefulness where you realize, oh, I was lost in distraction. Turn towards it. Feel compassion for yourself. This isn't easy. Bring loving awareness to meet it. And then release and settle back into quietude and rest in the space in between thought. And as much as possible, prolong that space. And the same goes for physical sensation, feelings, tactile sensations, whether it's pleasure, pain, or neutral. When you notice something pulling, tugging at your awareness, Turn towards it with loving awareness. Acknowledge its presence, and then release the story. Come back to the breath and the body, opening to that spacious quality of mind. And in case laxity or dullness settles in, be mindful of that as well. Turn towards the dullness with loving awareness. And then release the story around it. And rest from the vantage point of the awareness that is aware of dullness or distraction. Rest from the vantage point of awareness rather than the vantage point fused with thought. You simply notice sensation, notice memory, notice thought. Turn with loving awareness. It's like you give it a kiss or a touch of love, and then let it go with the out-breath. And recommit to settling the mind in its natural state with clarity, limpidity, spacious awareness. Capture the citadel of awareness, they say. Don't waste your time. And then from time to time, ask, who is meditating? Turn and look, mind looking at mind, awareness, turning back in upon itself. Who is aware? And then rest and relax. And by so doing, you might even identify awareness, Rigpa. And rest. Stabilize in that experience. The depth of the ocean of your awareness beyond the superficial waves of thought. Drop down and rest. We turn and look, not finding anything called the mind. And yet there's a presence, a cognizance, a knowing. Rest in that. Rest in the ground of being, the alaya, the womb of the Great Mother. Allow yourself to rest. You have wandered for so long. Now it is time for you to take your seat. And mine the gems of your own Buddha nature. Like a bird alighting upon its nest, let the mind alight within the body and the breath, and rest in its own nature, free of grasping, free of distraction. Rest. Now, for the last few minutes of our meditation, we'll engage in Tonglen. And in this case, I invite you to bring to mind someone with whom you'd like to practice Tonglen, sending and receiving, compassion practice. It might be a loved one, might be a challenging person, so-called enemy. It could be family member, a boss, someone who irritates you, someone who challenges you, or maybe somebody who needs love right now, going through challenging times or illness. Let the mind land upon someone that you would like to work with tonight. And then draw them up in your mind's eye as clearly as you can. We see them in front of you, perhaps remembering how they looked the last time you saw them. So letting your mindfulness now channel into this form of active meditation, one could say, contemplative practice. And then feel, sense whatever challenge, hardship this person may have takes the form of a smoky, dark vapor surrounding them, like a cloud, a storm cloud even. And look at them and really feel and know this truth that they, just like you, wish to be free of suffering, even though they might not know how. Like you share that with them. And that way we share that with all of humanity. We're not separate. And generate the heartfelt wish that you in some way can help free them of their suffering. And from that basis, with your in-breath, feel that you're drawing in their suffering into your heart space, the luminous orb of Buddha nature to your heart, light like the sun. And then you breathe out the cool breeze that clears that cloud of suffering, wishing them well, perhaps intuiting a remedy that would help them. May you be free of this suffering. So riding the breath, inhale, drawing in that texture, cloudy vapor, transforming it at your heart space, bodhicitta heart, and then sending out the remedy in the form of a cool breeze that clears their suffering with each breath. Continue in this way. Really find it in your heart to wish them be free of the suffering. Each breath clears their suffering, and you see them beginning to brighten, their disposition lightens, their suffering dissipates. Really see them in their full flourishing. It's dawning with each breath. May it be so. May you be free of suffering. And may I have the courage to, even in prayer, draw your suffering into my heart where I transform it. That bodhicitta, luminous sunlight at my heart, and send out the remedy. May you be well. May you have abundance. May you have what you wish in your life to fulfill your needs. And then gently let that image dissolve back into the space from which it arose. And now we open into the Donglen for the entire world and beyond. And it might just be a wish, may the world, may all beings be free of suffering. Or if you wish, you can imagine that you're sitting up on the moon looking down at planet Earth. And at the Bodhisattva courage, may I be of benefit. And see that the world is surrounded, this dark smoky vapor and all the suffering. If you have this courage, you're not literally doing it, but you are aspiring, may I draw in the suffering of the world, transform it at my heart, and then breathe out this cosmic wind that clears, bringing prayers and relief from suffering to all beings. Friend and foe, seen and unseen. Keep breathing. What would it feel like to even aspire to breathe in the suffering that's so immense, but you have that capacity, and you can breathe out cool, clear, healing rays of light, relieving beings from poverty, suffering, war, famine, disease. And if you feel all you can do is just on the out-breath, utter internally, may all beings be free from suffering. That is good too. And within the next few breaths of this, as if anything were possible, breathe in all the suffering, clear it with the out-breath. May all beings be free from suffering. 2 more like this, and by the 3rd, you see the world completely cleansed and brought to joyous freedom, balance, peace. And then release that visualization back into the space of the mind and rest, free of any activity. Just rest. And we'll chant to the Buddha Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara of compassion. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om, jewel in the heart of the lotus. That is your Buddha nature. Let it bloom within you. Om Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Om 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 Mani Padme Hum. Reciting the money is said to be so good for you and the world. They call it the money, the 6-syllable mantra. It's very much often uttered on the lips of Tibetans. When I lived in Dharamsala, Tibetan refugee settlement, you'd hear it everywhere, just while people were sweeping their home or deck, front porch in the morning, or walking to the temple with their beads, and although grandmas and grandpas, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. It just always was on their lips, you know. And that way the mantra, it protects our mind from ourselves, protects the mind from itself. You see? So the mind is, Anne Lamott says, the mind is a dangerous place. I try not to go there alone. I like that. It's like a dangerous neighborhood. So there are discursive forms of meditation and non-discursive forms of meditation. Both are completely fabulous and beautiful and beneficial in so many ways. One's not better than the other. There are times in our life where we need to empty the mind and rest, just rest. And there are other times when we need to cultivate qualities, compassion, insight into emptiness. You can meditate on emptiness, which is very interesting because it doesn't exist. But you don't exist either. They say that we should engage in all practice with what's called the threefold emptiness. Emptiness of subject, emptiness of object. That's if you're praying to a deity, for example, in deity yoga, or even shamatha, if you're attending to the breath, or an object of the Buddha, visualizing, which is very common in some traditions. So emptiness of the object out there. I already said emptiness of the subject, that's two. The third is the emptiness of the action, or the interface between the two. This is called threefold emptiness. In that way, you're not reifying yourself and your thoughts. You're not reifying the deity, if that's who you're praying to. Tara, Avalokiteshvara. They're appearing and yet empty, like a rainbow in the sky. We appear. We're here. We're solid, seemingly. But we're also empty. What are we empty of? Because you have to finish the sentence. There needs to be a qualifier with emptiness or empty. You are empty of a separate self. You're empty of intrinsic existence. We remember one of the slogans, basically the teaching was don't reify emptiness. So understand emptiness, but don't reify it. Don't make it a thing. That's self-liberate even the antidote, or liberate even the antidote. What is the antidote? Emptiness. What is the antidote to all of our suffering? Releasing the grasping. Release the clinging. And how do we do that? By applying the salve of emptiness, of realizing, okay, the pain is there, but let's get more interested. It's not just a thing parading around in a pain suit, wearing a pain sign. It vibrates. It's hot. It's cold. It's numb. Even numb has a feeling. Right? Even pain is empty of intrinsic existence. That's where the rubber hits the road. That's why we turn with loving awareness. Can I see that? Get more interested. Oh, what's there? It's vibrating. See, we label things. We label them and then we reify them. And then we reify them and we cling to them. And that's why the Buddha said we go round and round in circles. We suffer because we do that. So, I'm speaking as myself here, but I'm going to say we. I could say mui, which is this new funny word that some Buddhist psychologist coined. I forget who it is. He's like, why don't we call the interrelated usness the mui? Me and we, the mui. So I'm talking about the mui. And I say, we walk around as if we have forever. People, we don't have forever. I could die right now of a heart attack. We could walk out and get hit by a car. We might not see the rising sun tomorrow. So when you sit down without tension, but with a sense of clarity and wakefulness, do the practice. We waste our time. What they say in the Dharma, Tibetan teachings, focus on what you can really take with you when your moment of death comes, which is Dharma. Practice the Dharma. You can't take your favorite shawl, you can't take your body, your meat suit, you can't take your wealth. But what you can take is the mind, because the mind follows us, and our karma follows us like a shadow. So cultivate positive states, because you're stuck with yourself. Now we might change, like in my next life, I might not even remember Chandra, but it's said that it's the mind, the subtlemost aspect of the mind with its karmic imprints that leaves the body when the body can no longer support the mind. Consciousness, I'm not talking about the brain. And it's that moves through the bardo, the intermediary state, and takes rebirth or goes to a pure land if you've prayed to that. So it's a very interesting practice. But they say practice like your hair was on fire, If your hair's on fire, you're not going to just dilly-dally and smoke a cigarette. You're going to like go find the pond and put your head in the pond. I love that image, hair on fire. I looked it up. I don't know why. I think I was going to write a blog post about it or something. I found a salon called Hair on Fire. I thought that's pretty clever. I wonder if they're Buddhist, All right. So how are you guys doing? How was that sit for you? You all right? Is your hair on fire, Carrie? Yeah. Your hair was already on fire. Yeah. You did it.
I think I'm enlightened.
You are.
I'm going to take off.
No, you've got 15 more minutes. You're stuck here. You're held hostage. Okay. Okay. Oh my God, this is such a big topic. I might do half tonight and half next week. But let's dive in, Who wants to read the slogan tonight? Is slogan 27. 2720. Let's do somebody new in the back. How about a shy person? Who's the shy person who wants to read a slogan 27? If you tend to sit back, step forward. If you tend to step forward, sit back.
I don't know if I'm shy.
No, you're not. You're so not shy. I knew you were going to do it. Thank you. But no, I just want to hear the voice. I want to hear other new voices too. Slogan 27. I knew you were going to do it. I was going to point at you, but I didn't want to put you on the spot.
Work with the greatest defilement first.
Ay. Doesn't that sound like fun? Work with the greatest defilement first. Now Eric's like, yeah, I should have left a minute ago because this is not what I signed up for. No, I know your game. You signed up a long time ago. You're in. Work with the greatest mental afflictions first. That's another one. Defilement. I don't like that word, defilement. The word is nyonmong in Tibetan or klesha in Sanskrit. Nyonmong means mental afflictions. Some would say afflictive emotions. There's kind of crossover. Some are emotions, some are more mental. But the klesha in Sanskrit are these afflictions, these obscurations, you could say, mental afflictions that veil our Buddha nature. You know that purifying these mental afflictions is one of the major steps towards liberation. The other step is realizing the emptiness of self and other. So if you can do this slogan, you're halfway there. Excuse me. What are those called? Little dinosaurs? Dinosaur. All right. Ay. So I like you could also translate this. It's Nyonmong Gangche Ngunla Jang, which means basically train with whatever is the strongest afflictive emotion. Gangche means like whatever is strongest. What is the most strong mental affliction? So do that first. Wow. It's not like tiptoe into it. You've got to like notice what is most strongly eating at you. What causes you to suffer? And work with that. Like if you get angry, work with that. That's one of them. So the 5 mental afflictions, klesha, that give rise to a whole myriad of other ones. The first is ignorance. So that's more of a mental affliction. We misperceive, we don't understand something. What don't we understand? Emptiness, the way we exist. So that's like the root affliction, because based on that, all sorts of drama comes up. It's a self-cherishing that causes all sense of all sorts of different issues, problems, suffering. The next one is anger or aversion. That's the second. The third is conceit or arrogance. And often beneath conceit and arrogance is, what do you think? Huh? Insecurity. Yeah. So we overcompensate. We act arrogant. So those are kind of together. The fourth is clinging, grasping. Yay. That's you? Yeah, okay, that will be yours first.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Started stirring that pot.
That's a good one. It's a good bad one. It's really one of the hardest ones. Yeah. And then the last one is jealousy or competitiveness. And again, kind of similar to the conceit, jealousy, competitiveness. What's underneath that? What do you think? What drives people to be like that? Fear, yeah. Low self-esteem, like not good enough, right? I'm not good enough, so I've got to be better than them. I'm always comparing myself to others, or I've got to be the best at something. But you know what? Fear actually underlies all of this, all of the afflictive emotions. Fear. Why? Because it's that primal fear of separation from the ground of our being. It's from unity into duality. And when we're separate from the source, it's terrifying. There's fear. It's called the split from the ground. It's a classic Dzogchen teaching. So I like that you brought up fear because it causes a lot of, trouble. But so this teaching, train with whatever is the strongest mental affliction first, could be different for all of us. So Shantideva, one of the great Mahayana Indian teachers from the 7th and 8th century, late 7th to mid 8th century CE in India, Buddhist monk, philosopher, and poet. He wrote one of the greatest texts of all Buddhist time called The Way of the Bodhisattva, or the Bodhisattva Way of Life. How many people have read that, studied that, are aware of that text? Yeah, it's a classic. And in it, he says, all suffering in our lives come from only thinking of ourselves. All joy comes from thinking of others. All suffering in our lives comes from only thinking of ourselves. All joy comes from thinking of others. And so when you think about it, I mean, even just suffering, like I'm unhappy, I'm depressed, I'm poor, I'm just, not content with my life or my partner. They're all I statements. So if you look at that and you release it a bit and just see, oh yeah, there I am doing that again. But this also points to the fact that when we're selfish, self-centered, we actually suffer more. And when we're giving or considerate and we consider others, we experience more joy, right? I'm sure all of us know this. When you give something, when you do something nice to someone, you're filled with a little like a bling, like good karma, little recharge. Huh. And so let that settle in to your own body mind, like throughout the week and the following months. Notice that, like when I'm suffering, what's the statement? What's the thought in there? What am I doing and what am I thinking? So in this practice, we have the opportunity to look at our own minds to see which mental affliction is the most present and then apply the remedy. So these 5 kleshas have some antidotes. So this is sort of the formula. And then there's probably all sorts of variations, but I'll offer you maybe the first one tonight and we'll finish the rest next week. So let's take conceit, arrogance. When we're arrogant, we're actually dependent on others' validation of us. And this makes us insecure. It's a very interesting way to look at it. Whereas when we're self-confident or we know our self-worth, if somebody criticizes us, we can say, okay, I hear you. But it doesn't demolish our sense of self-worth, right? So the antidote to conceit is actually humility. Humility. And this also has the flavor of the immeasurable of equanimity. Like you know who you are. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to be arrogant about it. Like, the feeling of like seeing somebody brag about themselves. You're like, why that doesn't work. It's just not working. But then the person who's humble and chill, doesn't have to prove or be the center of attention. They're the ones you want to be with, right? They've got something that you want to be around. So humility is such a beautiful quality in someone, and it's not really elevated much in our culture, right? This is all, we've got to prove ourselves and be confident. And, let's not conflate conceit with confidence. Confidence is what infuses or supports our humility. Like when we're confident, we can be humble. And we have a quality of equanimity, of balance, of not being swayed by the people who like and don't like us. Social media, all that. How many people have liked my post? Oh, that person has a much bigger audience than me. All these comparisons and swinging from happiness and sadness, hope and fear cause us a lot of suffering. And so the immeasurable of equanimity, it's called upeksha, is an antidote that supports humility and helps pacify the klesha of conceit. And one way to do this kind of humility and feeling of like not having to be better than other people, from the Tonglen or Lojong, mind training lens, we contemplate how all beings are identical in terms of desiring happiness and freedom from suffering. If any of you have ever listened to His Holiness the Dalai Lama give a teaching, he always starts with this statement. Always, almost always. When he's in a formal Dharma teaching. Recognize, ponder, really understand that we are all a common humanity, right? He always talks about that. And the basis of that is this teaching, that we all have Buddha nature, but we've all lost touch with it. That's why we suffer. The Buddhas touch it and manifest and grew it within them and lived it. But the rest of us are wandering because we forgot our Buddha nature. But we have to remember that we all share that. And because we all have Buddha nature, within us. Even ants have Buddha nature. I like to say that even though I don't always, it's hard not to send them to a pure land sometimes, right? But even the ants have Buddha natures. Every sentient being has Buddha nature. So if you have to kill an ant, say Om Mani Padme Hum and don't do it with anger. You want to, it liberates you. Just like on a practical level. Just giving you a tip. Less negative karma than if you kill something with anger, like, oh, that spider. Ugh. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Bad karma. But if you're like, oops, oh, sorry, ooh, squashed the bug. It's like, it's not great karma, but it's a little less intense. Don't do it with anger, Don't do it with anger. Anger. Okay, so everybody has Buddha nature. So we share that. We are identical in that respect. And we all desire happiness and freedom from suffering. So in that way we can put ourselves in others' shoes. We don't have to be better than, why don't I let that person shine? Rejoice in that person's success. It's fine. It doesn't threaten me. That's hard. Now I'm getting into jealousy land, but that's for next week. That's important. So, the antidote to conceit. Actually, I'm going to say jealousy because it's next on the list and it's not very long because these tie in with each other. So jealousy, sometimes when we're jealous, we envy someone, we compete with them, right? And that person maybe is perceived as a threat, even though they might not have ever done anything to us. For some reason, we're competitive or jealous of them. They have what we want. And the antidote to jealousy, the second afflictive emotion, that's more of an emotion, I think. The antidote to jealousy is what I just said. It's to rejoice in the good fortune of that person. Try this. This is so edgy. Next time you start feeling yourself being jealous or competitive with somebody, don't have to say anything out loud, but just feel like, what would it feel like to rejoice in that person's popularity, multi-million-dollar home? So happy for you. How wonderful. And in the same way, we exchange positions with them. We go, oh, wow. They must feel really good. May that multiply manyfold, and may all beings experience million-dollar mansions at some point in their life. It's this quality of being that's abundant and empathic in the best sense of the word. It's called empathetic joy, mudita. That's the other immeasurable. So we train in having immeasurable empathetic joy. So this is Lojong. Practice this. When you're out in the world and you're at work or in your family and you're getting jealous of somebody, even if it's somebody on TV, you see somebody in the news. I often think, people without back pain are so fucking lucky, But instead of feeling downtrodden about it, rejoice in their good fortune. Oh, edgy. But it's a good place to practice. So those are the first of the two. First two of the five. Next week we'll do the 3, which is like aversion, anger, hatred, fun. Then the next one is clinging, grasping. And then the last one is ignorance. Any questions or comments about that before we close? We're working with the strongest one first. How does that feel to you? You feel like you can do that? You ready? Maybe. You give it a try. Maybe you need to do it with your therapist. Or with a good friend. Call someone up. God, I'm really struggling. I need to talk this through. Yeah? We don't have to be alone when we do this. All right.
Just say those 5.
The 5 kleshas? Yeah. So ignorance is the root one. And then aversion or anger is the second. Conceit is the third. Clinging is the fourth. Jealousy is the fifth. So if you know the mandala structure, it's all in there. It's a nice way to learn these things. And every klesha, every one of these mental afflictions, in Tantric Buddhism, we work with them and we transmute them into their corresponding wisdoms. So like ignorance, when we heal it, when we integrate it, it is transmuted into the wisdom of suchness, the wisdom of dharmata, the wisdom that rests in and understands the nature of all things. Emptiness. So it's that ignorance is liberated into its wisdom. And each of these kleshas, of these 5 poisons, is another way of calling them, has a corresponding wisdom. But in this commentary, we're just really mainly now focusing on the direct antidote. Right? So the antidote to conceit was equanimity, mudita, humility. The antidote to jealousy was, do you remember? Yeah, it's okay. Anyone remember what the second antidote is? Rejoice in other people's good fortune, exactly. It's called empathetic joy. Mudita. Mudita. Did I say the equanimity was mudita? It's upeksha, in case I did. Okay, my Dharma brothers and sisters and siblings, thank you so much. Let's take a moment to dedicate the merit for the benefit of all beings, especially those people we're jealous of. Our enemies even. Let's give them our merit. What would that feel like? They say, regard our enemies even more precious than the Buddhas. Why? Because they force us to practice the Dharma. We must. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful week. And put these teachings into practice. Say the greatest gift you can give your teacher is to practice. So, practice. Yeah. I'll sit up here for a few more minutes. Anyone new want to introduce themselves? Say hi. I like that. Or if you have a question, you can come up and ask. Otherwise, please enjoy tea out in the lobby. And we'll see you next week.